The biggest bank in Canada, RBC, says right in their mortgage terms, they don't have to renew your mortgage. They don't have to extend your mortgage. They can just say, see you later. We don't want anything to do with you. Mortgage renewals are getting denied in Canada as over 2 million Canadian mortgages are set to renew over the next 2 years. So let's get right into what is going on here. So this post comes from Shazzy. The illusion of automatic mortgage renewals is cracking. Banks are quietly combing through files, flagging technicalities and shutting doors on borrowers who never missed a single payment. Credit drops, job loss, debt load. And you know, we actually went through a video from somebody who was saying that they lost their job and they were trying to get that mortgage approval before they found out. I mean, take a listen to this.
Can you say we are so and I'm terrified because not only am I not working, but neither is my husband, and we have to renew our mortgage, and I have to renew that mortgage before they find out that I am not working.
Why is he selling?
Neither one's working right now.
So this just shows what a lot of people are actually going through right now. And you know, a lot of people don't understand that banks don't have to renew your mortgage. There is a massive, massive misconception there that banks have to renew your mortgage, and we'll get into that. And even go into the mortgage terms, because it says right there in the terms and conditions of the standard mortgage agreement for Canada's largest bank. So anyway, when you look into what is going on, renewal denied by your lender. One good reason to stick with your current lender is that they usually don't require a full requalification. But of course, if the economy is really shit and they are tightening up lending and they're trying to figure out how much fraud they have in terms of their mortgages, then they're going to be tightening that up. They're going to be requalifying people. And a lot of people don't realize that there is a process that's going on in the background, even though it might look like you're just getting that renewal automatically. No, they're still checking the appraisal value of your house, even if they don't actually go out and do an appraisal. And sometimes they'll check your credit score, and it's totally at their discretion. But obviously, when money gets tighter, which is typically actually when interest rates are coming down like they are right now, then that means that more people will get denied for credit. This is the start of a credit crunch. If you didn't see my video from last week about the banks that are tightening up lending significantly, highly recommend that. I'll link it at the end of this video. So it says here some reasons why people could be denied. Your credit score has dropped, you've missed or made late payments, you've taken on a large amount of new debt, or you're currently unemployed, or your income has decreased. So I want you to let me know in the comments or chat, is this lady here committing mortgage fraud by trying to renew her mortgage when she's unemployed and her husband is also unemployed? Because that looks like mortgage fraud right there. And that might be why Canada's banks are tightening up on this, because they're seeing how much mortgage fraud they really have in terms of that 90-day delinquency rate that's shooting up. We don't even have real-time data on that. So the reality is the data is way worse. We're looking at Q2. They're looking at right now. So they know how bad it really is. And it could be at an all-time high for all we know right now, considering the trend. So here on Reddit, mortgage renewal denied but house not selling. A lot of these posts have been deleted, but this was 3 months ago, and this is going to be the case for a lot of people, or they're just taking a huge loss, which most people can't afford, which we'll get into some of these losses soon, because the housing market is a mess for people right now, and the appraisal value could be way lower than the mortgage amount for a lot of people. Mortgage renewal denied. And then one of the comments here, could you explain more about the hypothetical situation? Borrowers are not usually requalified at renewal time, so why would a bank deny the opportunity to continue with the mortgage? And that's the thing, requalified at renewal, they can be. It depends on the economic environment. It depends how tight credit is becoming, and it's looking obvious that Canada is heading into a credit crunch because the amount of fraud that has been rife in the housing market.
They will do some documentation showing that you guys are making more, and they'll get you qualified.
So what ended up happening is that they met an individual that knew another individual that said, I can get anything approved.
So can our renewal be denied? Really interesting here. The first comment here, wouldn't you get an automatic offer from your current lender? You might not like the rate, but at least you could be approved. The reality is, though, that if banks are tightening up more and more, then more and more people are going to be going under the microscope. Are they employed? Has their credit score dropped? Are they taking on high amounts of high-risk debt? And we know the answer to that for a lot of people is categorically yes, they are. And now I want to go over to the standard mortgage agreement from RBC. So just to show you here what I'm talking about, this is page 13, and I've also linked this in the description. This is just standard mortgage terms that are posted on RBC's website. And what I've highlighted here is this point here. You do not have the right to renew, amend, or extend the mortgage. Renewal, amendment, or extension of the mortgage is at our discretion. And that is a huge risk that Canadians take on because they're renewing their mortgages every 5 years or every 2 years. So people might think, oh, I'm really smart taking a 1 or a 2 year contract for the mortgage. But guess what? If you then lose your job during that time, and let's say you even have the savings and your employment gets updated with the bank, well, they're going to deny your mortgage renewal. And if you just took the 5 year contract, then you might actually be okay. You might be able to find another job by the time it comes to your mortgage renewal. So that's another risk there. More people have been taking on these lower contract terms, which means more people will be heading into the renewal. They're trying to kick the can down the road, but really they might actually be increasing their risk exposure. And that's because they can't afford the 5 year rate. I mean, that's the clutch of it. The Bank of Canada doesn't control that rate. We've been through that many times. The biggest bank in Canada, RBC, says right in their mortgage terms, they don't have to renew your mortgage. They don't have to extend your mortgage. They can just say, see you later. We don't want anything to do with you when your mortgage renewal comes up. So obviously that's pretty scary to a lot of people because a lot of Canadians just think that their mortgage renewal is automatic. So this could lead to a complete show, especially when banks don't want to take on a massive amount of risk. And then Economic Woes posted this. This is foreclosure inventory in Vancouver, goes all the way back to 2018, and it's just increasing and increasing. We're seeing the same thing that John Flynn is reporting with Power of Sale in Toronto. The fact is they're just going up and up. More people are losing their home. Why are they losing their home? It's because they cannot afford to sell at these huge losses. I mean, take a look at this. $460,000 loss, 40% loss. Who has got $460,000 sat around in their bank account that they can then cough up if they're selling at a loss? It's just such a small percentage of people that it's not going to happen. So many people are going to be kicked to the curb into bankruptcy, into debt consolidations, and are going to lose their homes. And it's a result of just the euphoria and the complete hysteria that we saw throughout the pandemic in that melt up and mania phase, which really was just obvious to many of us that that was the mania of the housing bubble and the melt up. And then you've got another one here. This is a 32% loss and it's nearly $500,000. And again, who has $500,000? And if the bank is looking at this and let's say they're just looking to renew the mortgage on this, and you know, this person, they purchased in 2022 here. So 3 years into the mortgage, interest rates have gone up. So they've likely paid barely anything of the principal. Is the bank then going to want to lend them that money when the house is actually worth 32% less? And as soon as the banks start to realize this, which they might be realizing right now, they're going to start to do those appraisals more and more and more. And that is going to mean more people get rejected when it comes to renewal, which will just increase the chances that you get capitulation in the housing market. And it will also make credit harder to access for people wanting to get into the housing market, which just tightens it up even more. And that really is the final stage. After the fear stage, you get into capitulation where people can't get credit and lots of people are losing their homes. And a lot of it will be because of renewal. Now we've seen banks that are still still growing their loan portfolio, that are still happy to lend. And funnily enough, RBC is actually one of them. And anyway, if you want to see that video where I go through which banks are lending and which banks aren't, check out that video there. And if you're looking for a VPN and you also want to help support the channel, then go to expressvpn.com/marketmania. They help support the channel. You get the best VPN. It's a win-win. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.